Hey guys, Keith from Kegland, and today we're talking about a grain storage solution which I think is a really good idea. And this was an idea which was alerted to us from Rachel, one of our customers, who also has a YouTube channel and Facebook group called Bush Edge Homestead. So I'm going to put a link to that down in the comments below. But essentially with these buckets, unlike standard buckets which just look like this, our particular buckets have a lid system which you can purchase separately. Now, some people call these gamma lids. That's what Rachel referred to them as. I'm not sure if that's a trademark term or not, but anyway, essentially these types of lids, unlike a standard lid, which you will knock down really hard with a rubber mallet or something like that, and that can be very hard to get off. These particular lids separate with a threaded lid like that. So you get two pieces like this. This piece you basically whack down hard like you normally would, and that makes a very tight seal onto the bucket edge like that. Now that's all the way down. So once you've knocked that down sufficiently, you've got this lid which has a thread, and now the neck of the bucket has a thread, and you can just screw that on like that. Now it is quite possible that if you buy these lids from us, you might be able to find other buckets out there in industry that will fit, but the problem is we can't really say definitely they will or won't fit because other bucket manufacturers sometimes change their sizes and shapes. So all we can say is they definitely fit our buckets, and hopefully if you guys can find some other buckets that also fit, put it in the comments below because that'll help other customers. And at the end of the day, we just want you guys to have a good solution. If you can find a free bucket somewhere else or a cheap one, you should definitely go for it. So hopefully you guys can communicate on stuff like that. Now, when you buy them off our website, they're most efficient to purchase in a box of 5. So they come in a big box like that. And then they also come in a couple different sizes. So we've got this one here, which is our 25 litre. And I think this one is about half that, or 13 litres for this one, which is half size. Now these two can stack internally inside each other to some degree. And obviously the lids are compatible between the two different bucket sizes. Now, I know you're wondering how well will these lids seal, so let's do a bit of a test. I've got a bucket basically filled up to 3/4 with water, as you can see here. So that is pretty close to the top. The other thing I have done, and I would recommend you guys doing this as well, is if you want to make it really easy for the lids to do up and undo, just put a tiny bit of olive oil or some other food grade lube on the seal here, and it does make that lid really glide on and off and stops it getting jammed. Now that's particularly an issue if you put something, very warm in there and then it cools down, because the lid will kind of like suck down onto the bucket. But anyway, if you do that, that'll make the lid really easy to turn. So I'm going to tighten that up like so, just sort of finger tight, I guess. And this is now full of water. And as you can see, there is not a drop coming out of there. So that is completely full of water and there's nothing coming out at all. Now this is pretty unlikely, but let's say you've accidentally over tightened the lid somehow, or you've got something which went in really hot, has cooled down and sucked the lid on really tight, for instance. Well, there's two ways you can overcome that problem. You can use either a rubber mallet, or I've just got a hammer here. You can just give it a few taps like that to undo the lid. Because it's made out of high impact plastic, it generally can handle a fair bit of abuse like that. Now, the other thing that we've got is a couple, poles here. You could use broomsticks, or just any long stick really. And if you really couldn't get it undone, you just interlock them like this on the lid. And then you've got quite a lot of leverage, and then you can just turn the lid like that while holding the lid steady in your feet, like between your feet like that. And as you can see, the lids just come undone. So that's a really easy way if you happen to have got the lid stuck on for some reason. Now, as always, bottom right-hand corner, hit subscribe now, and of course, join our Facebook Homebrew community group with other customers just like yourself, sharing all sorts of tips and tricks on everything to do with this type of gear. Anyway, that's it. See you guys next time.